Hello and welcome back to the High Performance Nursing Podcast. I was just about to say the Liam Caswell show, which sometimes it feels like it is. Welcome back, beautiful humans who nurse. I hope you're all well. It's week 3 of the new year. Week 3, week 4, week 3, I think. And, if you've let your goals slip already, welcome to the human race. Totally normal. You got this. We're not here to goal shame you. We're here just to let you get back on the bandwagon and to keep moving forward. Remember, we never lose or fail unless we quit. That makes it super easy to win, right? We're just going to keep bloody trying. This month, if you haven't noticed, there's a bit of a theme around goals and theme around really letting your mind just expand what is possible for you. And my mind has kind of been blown in this move internationally from Australia across here to Paris. I kind of feel like I've been reset almost. I feel like there's a different energy in my life, which is total BS. It's total crap, because of course there's not a different energy. It's just a different place. And I have this theme in my career, in my life. I have this pattern. And you probably have it too if you're a high performer and you're listening to this, whereby every time we move and change our circumstance, we change our environment, we think that it's a new beginning, we think that it's a new start. And what I've learned through coaching and a hell of a lot of psychology is that that's not actually true. It's just a little cognitive trick that our brain plays on us. But I think it's important to cover that because I've been feeling a little bit like, oh, this is exciting, we're in Paris, it's all new, it's like I feel motivated and all of these things. And it got me thinking about how all of those things external to me do not create motivation. I create it from the thoughts that I'm thinking. So Paris and being beautiful and stunning does not make me feel motivated. It's the thoughts that I have about Paris being beautiful and stunning. It's kind of like that, I'm like, I walk out of the house and I'm like, oh, that's right, I live here for the next 7 months. And that's what creates the feeling of like motivation and puts a bit of glee into my skip and my step as I mince through the streets of Paris, right? I think that's super important to recognize because it has so many applications in our nursing career and in our personal life. And we're all about that here. So I wanted to share that with you as we kick off today's episode. Today's episode is all about pathways, planning, and possibilities. The triple P, the trifecta. The PP. Don't let your mind go where it's going, okay? Stop. Enough. Nursing brain, enough. So, without further ado, let's dive in and explore what I'm talking about. So, I was thinking about how I can best serve you guys this year on the podcast, and I wanted to be a bit more specific and a bit more strategic about how I can really give you things to action in your life every week so that you can take them away from the podcast and implement them. And one of the biggest questions that I get is like, Liam, how do I create a career plan? And I've been sitting with that for a little while. I haven't really talked about it much online or on the podcast, this idea of planning. And I was doing some work last week, really thinking about, ironically, planning for my year and thinking about the podcast and what I wanted to offer you guys. And this idea came to me around pathways, planning, and possibilities. And I think that where we should start is that the nursing industry up until this point has been quite rigid in its pathways, its planning, and its possibilities. At least cognitively, right? At least in our minds, we've been a little rigid around the idea of what's possible for us in our nursing careers. And I posted something this week whereby I had a little play with words and I posted something. If you haven't seen it on Instagram, go and check it out at High Performance Nursing. But it was avoid nursing like it's still the 1850s. And it got a heap of engagement and lots of people really resonated with the message. And it just further compounded the fact that I needed to talk about this today. So go and have a look at that post and come back to me and let me know what you think. But hopefully it conjures up some ideas for you. So let's start with talking about pathways in nursing. Now, in my nursing experience, the pathways are pretty clearly defined, right? Pretty much from the minute that we start our training, we have this idea or vision around the traditional nursing pathways that are available to us in our careers. If we start off in acute medicine, we can do, and this applies to any specialty, can't talk today, especially mini stroke, I need the vet team. Should not joke about that. Let's talk about acute medicine. Acute medicine, you're acute med nurse, you start off there, and your pathway is pretty clear if that's where you want to be, right? Like you can become a CN or a level 2 registered nurse or a clinical nurse. And then from there, if you want, you can become a clinical development nurse or a nurse educator or a CNS. And then from there, you can become a CNC or a nurse unit manager or an educator. And then from there, it's Dawn and it's ADON. And then it's CEO if you want to keep going, maybe general manager, maybe more of a specialized project role. Those paths are pretty well set in stone and they're kind of really obvious. But here's the thing, right? Most of you listening, well, most of the high performers probably want to take some form of that path. But most people in nursing don't want to take that traditional path. And I think that it's important that we allow ourselves to explore what our path actually currently looks like and what our options are. Now, there are benefits of having a really clearly defined pathway in nursing, right? If we have a really clear path, it's very structured, we can very easily move forward and we can collect all of the certificates on the way and we can do all of the personal and professional development to achieve that goal. It's pretty well set up. But where pathways kind of let us down, if we rely on them too heavily, is that the pathway itself can have us feeling trapped. And it's interesting because this really resonated with me when I was thinking about my nursing career when I was writing this podcast. And I was thinking about, oh my goodness, I for 10, 12 years was in career prison. I self-imprisoned myself in a pathway that was not my path. It was a pathway that other people thought would be good for me. It was a pathway that other people conjured up and decided was the path without consulting me. And it was a pathway that did not think about what I value, what my strengths and weaknesses were, what my characteristics were, what I really needed from my job day to day, right? And I'm sure some of you will resonate with this. We went on a path because it was there and it was laid out ahead of us. And what ends up happening for most of us high performers is that we feel trapped. We self-imprison ourselves because we get to a certain point, I call it rock top, where we get to the rock top instead of the rock bottom. We get to the kind of top or the pinnacle of where we thought we should be going. And we're like, hold on, I don't like where this path is headed. I don't like where I'm heading in this direction. And a lot of us, if we're 100% honest, get stuck in that moment and we go, I can't change. What do I do? Where do I go? I can't go back. But I don't want to go forward. So we find ourselves in nursing career prison, trapped, self-imprisoned, and limited in our, or limited in inverted brackets, commas, limited in our potential opportunities and career pathways. So there are pros and cons to having a pathway, right? But what I want to offer you is that if you are somebody that is a high performer, that has big goals, big aspirations, big dreams, I want you to know that there is absolutely no pathway out there. The pathway that serves you best is the pathway that you create. You get to write the narrative of your nursing story. You get to rewrite the narrative of the past, of your past nursing story, and you get to rewrite what it looks like right now in this present day. And you get to reverse engineer it and rewrite it from the future, and you get to create the path. You get to lay every brick. You get to skill stack. Right? You get to leverage your uniqueness, and you get to create your nursing career on your terms. So I want to say fuck pathways. Fuck the pathways, and you do you, right? There are pros and cons to both, but if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably already thinking that, and you're thinking, you know what? That was the permission I needed to be able to move forward and to start laying the bricks. And remember and know that when you lay those bricks and you start creating your own unique, specific path, that all of the things are going to come up, all of the mind drama, all of the feelings, all of the emotions, but it does not mean that it's incorrect. It does not mean that it's wrong for you. It does not mean that you should stop. It means you should keep going. So interesting. So I want you to think about your pathway. What does it look like right now? Does it align with what you actually want? Does it align with what you actually want in your nursing career? And if not, take a moment, sit down, and really consciously think about it. What does your pathway currently look like? What do you want it to look like? What would it look like if you could create anything in your nursing career? And then you go after that. Relentlessly go after that. You pivot, you tweak, you change, you test, you trial, you sample. And then from there, you create what it is on your terms in your nursing career. Remove yourself from nursing career prison and make it happen. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was planning. And planning is all well and good up until the point where it's not, right? Planning is great to allow us to, and I will always tell our clients to plan out. I'll always tell them to think about each step. We'll think about a goal and we'll reverse engineer the goal. And then we break down each step in each plan. But what I see time and time again, with myself included, is that there is lack of flexibility in the plan. And again, when we don't have flexibility, adaptability in our plan, we don't respond well to the unexpected change, the unexpected opportunities, and we can sometimes self-sabotage our own success, right? By being so caught up in, well, this is my plan and I'm sticking to it. This is what I'm doing and I'm sticking to it. And it's interesting, I like to use like a business analogy here, because in the nursing world, in my business, for example, if I put something out there and it doesn't resonate, that's not reason for me to stop, right? And I plan that out. Like if I put this podcast out and 3 people listen to it, then I go, okay, my plan was X, Y, and Z, but that really didn't seem to land, or people didn't really resonate with that message so much. So I get a bit curious, right? And I think, what could I do differently? What do people really want to hear? What is it that people are really struggling with in their nursing careers and their lives? How can I be flexible and adaptable to meet the needs of the people that are listening, right? And the same rule applies to your nursing career and your life. So I want you to invite in all of the flexibility into your planning. But plan with flexibility in mind. Plan with different options. You know, if you really want to do the Advanced Life Support Training course, and the Australian Resus Council course is only available, but you really wanted to do the Australian Critical Care, this Australian College of Critical Care Nurses course, plan with flexibility. Both are the same. They're slightly different, but give yourself the option to not miss out because your plan is so rigid and you're very stuck in that, especially if you're hating your plan. Especially if you're somebody, I saw this week on Facebook, in the Wild West of Facebook groups. Oh my goodness, those groups drive me insane. Insane, because you've got a collective of people who mean well, but they're giving you advice based on their experiences. And then they then tell you you should go and do alcohol and drug withdrawal nursing when you're talking about wanting to go and do, you know, ED, critical care, and everybody's trying to convince you the opposite. It is the Wild West of Facebook group and nursing career advice. However, I digress. I guess you could argue that there's flexibility in that space, right, in the Wild West of Facebook groups, where people are giving them, stretching other people's minds to think about the flexibility in their careers. But long story short, it is very important in your nursing career to give yourself the opportunity to plan, but introduce the idea of flexibility and see what comes up for you when you do that. See how you feel. Nurses are the masters of being flexible and being adaptable. But when it comes to our own brain tries to trick us and tells us that flexibility is scary and that it's not safe to be inflexible in our own life and our own careers. I demoted myself. I think I demoted myself twice now that I think about it. I was a nurse unit manager. I had all of the things that I'd ever dreamed for. I hit rock top where I was like, hold on, I don't like where I am. I don't like the role. It's not landing with what I need my life to look like. I had all of these symptoms and side effects from being in that role. And I then was like, hold on a minute. When am I at my best? What do I love doing? What are my values? And one of my highest values is being creative. And I could not for the life of me bring creativity into my nursing unit manager role. I could, but it involved painstakingly slow quality improvement board design, which is kind of exciting, but that was the limit. I could be creative in my conversations, I could have a bit of fun in team meetings, but I couldn't fully embrace creativity. And for me in nursing, I found that I loved doing that through education. I loved teaching people. I loved sharing my skills and knowledge. I loved creating a platform for people to see what was possible. Ironic now that I do this, hey. So I demoted myself. And my director of nursing at the time was like super excited that I was applying for this position because they knew that that was my skill set. They were so open. I really do respect them for that. They were so open, the ADON and DON, so open to it. And they were like, yeah, like we want to really elevate the education. So I demoted myself and I took a pay cut and I went back down to the other level. And my team were like, what are you doing? And I said, I have to do this for me. I have to do this because I had a plan and the plan has worked out, but it doesn't lend itself to what I want my career to look like. And that was difficult, and I had to face lots of different opinions. I had to deal with my own mind drama. I had to manage my own brain. I had to go through all of the fear, the worry, the stress, the anxiety. I had to battle with the fact that I demoted myself and took a job from somebody that thought they had it in the bag. All of that, and then they were my team member, right? So I had to go through all of that. But it was worth it for me because I needed to be flexible in my planning, and I needed to offer myself the opportunity. So if you're inflexible in your career, you may well just lose yourself an opportunity to do the thing that you truly love. The third and final thing that I want to talk about, and to spark your interest with today, is the idea of possibility in your nursing career. You guys don't need me to tell you what is possible in your nursing career, because you know what is possible in your nursing career. One of the things that really struck me with the post that I put out this week about avoiding nursing like it's still the 1850s, RIP Florence, was that people really resonated with it, and they resonated with the differences between 1850s nursing and 2023. Now, I don't know, of course, what it was like in the 1850s. I'm just judging based on what I could find online. But what I noticed was, like, nursing possibilities in the 1850s, we had none. And today we have nurses that are PhD trained, that are nurse practitioners, that are critical care outreach specialist teams, that are working in, quality improvement and design, that are working in UI and tech. They're launching app-based technologies like UPage and F-Words. They're doing amazing, amazing things. We also have nurses that are running clinics, right, for the homeless and the vulnerable populations. We have nurses working in public health. We have nurses working in international public health. We have nurses sitting at the table in government. All of these things are possible, and possible for you too. The way that we think about possibilities in nursing needs to shift and change. Current modern day nursing cannot sustain itself on this idea that we are handmaidens to the doctors, that we need to call each other sister. Drives me crazy, because I'm not your sister. And it just has such negative connotations, that word, for me. I have used it in the past, don't get me wrong. I've used brother, I've used matron, but it's really non-inclusive language, and it's not gender neutral. And I know a lot of transgender LGBTQIA plus nurses in the sector. That language would not be acceptable. And we would never offer that to our patients, right? We'd never say, hey, look, there's the fatty in bed 8. We would never do that. Oh my goodness. We would never do that. It's terrible. Yet it still happens, right? So there are things that we do that we should not be doing anymore. And there are stories that we tell ourselves about the possibilities that are available to us that do not serve us. What comes to mind when I think of that is the fact that a lot of nurses that you may work with, and I know because I worked with them, I was one of them at one point, will tell you, don't leave. You'll never get a job. It's so difficult. Or, what are you going to do? Like, they look at you like genuinely dead serious. What the hell are you going to do if you leave? All right, John, it's all good. I've got it. I've managed to get a job before. I'll manage to get a job again. Right? They impose and they project their fears onto us about the lack of possibilities in nursing. If you think there are no possibilities in your career in 2023, I need to chat to you. Okay, we need to have a chat. Book in a call with me. I want to help you see that you have so many paths available. And when I say that to you, I want you to think about, where does your brain go? Because your brain probably is like, well, no, I've got a mortgage to pay. I can't do this. I can't demote myself. Can't do that. You can do all of it. You can do all of those things. You're just choosing not to. And it's fine. If you choose not to pursue the possibility and pursue the opportunities, you kind of remove the ability to complain about it. Right? Like, what would healthcare look like if we all just really lent into what was possible for us? And when we actively chose to not follow that possibility and that opportunity, we didn't hate on ourselves. We didn't beat ourselves up. We didn't possibility shame ourselves, right? We didn't do all of that. We're like, oh, I consciously decided with my brain that possibility is incredible, but I'm kind of happy where I am right now. And then we wouldn't use that against ourselves. Or the next day that we have a bad day, like, oh my God, you should have taken that job. That kind of self-sabotagey behavior, it doesn't serve us. And the only person, trust me, because I did it for 12 years, the only person that suffers is you, right? No one else cares. You don't take the job, they miss out on your amazingness, but they're not thinking about it. They're not sitting there being like, oh my goodness, I wish. They don't care. Somebody else will come along. Somebody else will fill the job. In 2023 and moving forward, the possibilities in nursing are endless. In fact, they have never been better. And here's why. Because we have a global shortage. We've had a global shortage for years, but it's getting worse. And many of you, including myself, for many years have been terrified about this. And I was reflecting on this week, and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, I have obviously been worried about it, but I've been so opportune in trying to create opportunities for myself to move forward in my career. If you're a high performer, that's your life, right? That's what we do. We create opportunities for ourselves to move forward. There's never been more opportunity in nursing than a global shortfall. So you can look at it two ways, or you can amalgamate the two together. You can be terrified, petrified, stressed, worried, and angry about the state of the healthcare system, which, we can all be. Or you can go, hold on a minute. This means vacancies, this means jobs. And yes, it means more responsibility. Yes, maybe it means that it's harder to fulfill that role, but you have opportunity at your fingertips. Many people will use this time to build a career. Many people will be opportune in what they see as possible for them. And I do not blame them. I don't think that's a problem. What we don't want to do with possibility is we don't want to block our own possibility, right? So a lot of people will say to me, I really have this passion to become a leader, Liam, but I just don't want to deal with the drama. And that seems like a legitimate reason not to do it. But what you're doing in that moment is blocking your own possibility. Why would we let the drama and the politics stop us from pursuing what your true capacity is? Why would you choose to let that be? Now, if you choose that and you're happy with that, for sure, run with it. But if you're somebody that is, I know that there's more to this, but I'm just a little worried about the drama and the pain and the suffering that comes with this role, I want you to know that that means you need to learn how to manage your thoughts. Because the job, there is somebody else in the world that loves the job that you are looking to take, and they love it dearly, and they absolutely skip out of bed, and they go to work, and they deliver their best, and they get all the shit thrown at them, and they still show up. And they still are human, and they still struggle in all of the things they experience, everything that you experience. But the difference between that person and you, potentially, based on my experience, is inability to manage the thoughts that you have in your brain. Okay? That's it. This might be the first time you've ever heard that. That literally was it for me. Had I have learned this skill of managing my mind when I was a nurse unit manager, I reckon I would still be there. I would probably have been promoted, and I would be doing something very different. And you guys wouldn't have this amazing podcast. So I'm very happy where I am. But that skill would have transformed my life. It transformed my life, but I was not in that world at that time. And I chose a different path because I was flexible in my planning, and I decided, hell, why not? Why not create what I want on my terms? Why not start a business, Liam? Let's try it. What have you got to lose? There's always nursing there. I can go back to it. I can do it. I can go back and be a nurse unit manager. My brain offers me up all of the ideas why that's not possible, but it is possible. I'll make it possible, right? So if you're somebody that thinks about a possibility and you think, oh, and then you possibility block yourself, I want you to check into that. And I want you to get really curious. And I want you to really think about it. Your brain's going to offer you up a lot of BS, right? It's going to offer you up a lot of thoughts. And I want you to get super curious about whether or not they're true. A very different nursing career and future awaits you. There's no right time. There's no best time. There's no perfect job. There is no perfect pathway. There is no definite career plan that you need to follow. And there is no limit to what is possible for you in your nursing career. Lean in to the pathways that you have. Lean in to being more flexible in your planning, and lean in and get super curious and have so much fun with what is possible in your nursing career. Don't listen to the negativity and the negative nursing narrative that plagues the nursing industry in this day and age. Do what you want to do. Explore what's possible for you and start laying those bricks, start creating the path, and be flexible as you plan and move towards your goal. I will see you in the next episode, and I will chat to you all soon. Bye! Au revoir! Thank you so much for watching the High Performance Nursing Podcast. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for all future video notifications. If you want to dive deeper into this work, please come and join us in the High Performance Nursing membership. All the links are in the comments below. We would love to see you there and help you thrive within your nursing life, career, and mindset. Let's do this.